Well, it's the 100th running of the Indy 500 this Sunday, and a guy who's starting in the middle of the first row. He's in Buffalo today. Why are you in Buffalo?
Oh man, I'm here for Buffalo. I just want to see the place. I've never been here. Actually, my dad grew up here as a kid, which is kind of funny. So it's fun to be here for the first time. But why I'm really here is because we're going back to Watkins Glen International Raceway, and that's going to be cool for IndyCar. That's going to come up later on in September 1st through 4th. So after the Indy 500 this weekend, we're looking to come back up here.
Isn't it weird to get back on a course like Watkins Glen when you're going on an oval like the Indy 500? There's so many twists and turns. What's the experience like at Watkins Glen?
It's totally different, but in a good way. You know, what's cool about IndyCar racing is we have such discipline within the sport where you literally have to switch from oval to street courses to road courses continuously, like all year round, and for us that becomes a little bit more seamless as you do it. So Indianapolis, we're doing 240 miles per hour down the straightaway, and at Watkins Glen you're probably only going to be doing about 195. So it's different. The turns are a little bit more technical at Watkins Glen. There's more braking. We don't brake in Indianapolis, so there's differences. But as an IndyCar driver and my team around me, we adjust to those differences.
Do you have a favorite course?
Indianapolis is an easy favorite for me. It's cool that we're going to be running the 100th running this year. It's a big deal. It's going to be on ABC on Sunday this weekend. So hopefully people tune in. It's, not many sport events have gone 100 years. I mean, the Super Bowl was only 50 this year. So to be a part of something cool like that's exciting for me, and I love that place. It's our cathedral of speed, if you will. But I think Watkins Glen could be one of those tracks that will be one of my favorites. I think it's one of the best road course tracks we have in North America from what I understand.
So you mentioned you're riding at speeds of 240 miles an hour. Obviously, speed doesn't scare you, but what does?
I hate flying. I absolutely hate flying. I can't do it. And I'm only getting worse as I get older. Like when I first flew when I was a kid, I kind of liked turbulence and thought it was fun. And then the older I've gotten, I've become deathly scared of flying. I just don't like heights, do not like flying in airplanes. So it's kind of weird. People, when I tell people that, they're like, well, you can drive at 240 miles per hour and, inches off the wall, but you can't fly. And it's, to me, it's just totally different being grounded than up in the air.
So, Indianapolis 500, the big one, when you win, you drink milk. Is it wrong or not right to drink milk before the race? Is that kind of bad luck?
That's a good question. I think for me, I love milk. Like, you have no idea how much I love milk. I drink milk with like every meal, and people think I'm the weirdest person for it because I'll have milk with whatever. But if anyone's trying to do like something related to the Indy 500 and involve milk, then that's like a no-no. It's just breaking tradition. You can't maybe you can't have milk in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway unless you're winning the race. Like that's the goal to win the race, is you want to be able to drink the milk at the end. So no, you're allowed to drink milk whenever, but I think whenever it comes to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you got to keep the milk away.
Can you name any of the three drivers who have won the most Indy 500s? Yeah,
Rick Mears. I should know this. Rick Mears has 4. AJ Foyt has 4. And then why is it misleading me? I know the third guy that has 4. Oh my gosh! This always happens. Anytime I get put on the spot, I always forget. Elio's got 3. Elio's going for his 4th.
Right.
And then who's the one? Who is it? Oh no, it's not Rutherford.
No.
Give him the first letter of the first name.
Well, he has a son that drove.
Is it Bobby? Is it Bobby Unser?
No, Al Unser.
It's Al Unser.
Yes.
Yeah, why am I thinking Bobby? It's Al Unser. Oh my gosh, I should know that. I do know that.
You will from now on.
I'll never forget. Right. Well, everyone asks me that question, and I know it, and then I always forget whenever I get asked on the spot. So
we're talking to Josef Newgarden. He's going to be starting second at the Indy 500 this weekend. Do you look at NASCAR like it's slow?
Well, it's interesting, the NASCAR debate. I guess technically they are slow to us, but they're also not. It's a very different discipline. They weigh twice as those cars weigh twice as much as an Indy car. They're just a totally different class. I mean, like at Indianapolis, for instance, their average speeds around there are in like 160, 170. You're talking 70 miles per hour slower for an average speed around Indianapolis. That's a huge difference. I mean, it's massive. We're at Watkins Glen, they would be taxi cabs compared to us. But that doesn't mean they're not difficult to drive. I mean, they're very difficult cars, just a totally different class. So it's almost unfair. An Indy car has so much advantage. It's so much lighter. Has so much more grip than they do, and it can accelerate accelerate and brake so much better. So it's
Long
different.
term, if someone called, Hendricks called and said, "Hey, we want to put you in one of our cars," would you go that way?
I'd love to do it. You know what's been cool right now is there's been so much interest from the NASCAR drivers in what we're doing, and I think we have interest in what they're doing. There's a lot of guys that have been wanting to run the 100th running of the Indy 500. Kyle Busch, I know, really wants to run it. Jeff Gordon wanted to do it, but his wife won't allow him. From what I understand, it's too dangerous, she thinks. But they like what we do, and I find it interesting what they do as well. And I think guys in motorsports, we like all forms of it, and so there's interest there. And if the opportunity came up, I'd love to try it. IndyCar's in my heart, but I'd love to try other forms of motorsports.
You're starting in the middle of the front row. Don't you kind of feel trapped when you're in the middle?
Yes and no. I mean, the good thing about Indianapolis is most people keep a very cool head at the start. It's a 500-mile race. You got to be really silly to do something stupid, I guess, and put yourself in a bad spot. So, it's tradition to run 3 wide at Indianapolis. We have, all the rows lined up 3 wide instead of 2 traditionally on ovals. And, being in the middle, I'm not too worried about it. I got one of the best seats in the house. When you're starting in the front row, you're out of the trouble, hopefully, of the back of the pack.
Open road right ahead.
That's right. Just go forward from there.
Awesome. All right. Well, good luck this weekend. It's coming up on ABC this weekend. Josef Newgarden, our guest this morning, getting ready for the running of the 100th Indianapolis 500. And, of course, he'll be at Watkins Glen in September. Thanks for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.